test. All right. So, let's get started on our build an owl, build a friend demonstration really quickly. So we're gonna open up Illustrator here. And then this is gonna be for project 4.2 here. So this is the owl we're gonna be aiming to recreate, and then it's up to you guys to create the owl's friend. So start by going into Illustrator and creating a new 5x5 inch document. Make sure that it's set to inches. Make sure it's set to inches here, 5x5, RGB color mode because we're working digitally. And then screen mode of 72 is fine. We're going to name it correctly. So B, Blakeney, first initial, last name, underscore period 7. And then this is project 4.2, or build an owl, build a friend. So click create, and then we're going to, I have two artboards set, so give me just 1 second here. Let me delete that extra artboard. So if we delete this artboard here, we're going to get started using our shape tools that we practiced on Monday to start creating an owl and a friend for our owl. So if we look at the, oops, that's the wrong one, excuse me. If we look at our example here, you can see there's some, not horns, but like some feathers up here, some wing shapes, a little bit of a beak action. I'll show you how to do some of the more basic stuff. We'll leave out some of the details. That'll be up to you guys. But I'll show you how we can continue to use our Pathfinder tools to our advantage. So, oops. If we go to window, anytime you don't see a set of tools that you need, remember they're alphabetical in the window section. So I'm going to go down here to P and then open up my Pathfinder. And I'm going to start by creating the body. So the body is simply just an ellipse, which is the name for a rounded shape, right? It's a circle if it's perfect. So I'm holding shift to create that perfect circle. Hold on, let me get my keyboard visualizer up real quick. There we go. So now you guys will be able to see what I'm doing. All right, so now if we take our circle here, let's make this fill a little bit nicer, a little bit easier to see. And then I'm going to use my alignment tools right over here in the properties panel to center that guy on one another. So I want to start by using the divide function to remove that kind of horn shape from the top of my owl's main body here. So I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard. You can look down here to see which keys I'm pressing. I'm going to click and drag up. I'm also going to hold Shift. So clicking and dragging, holding Shift and Alt until I get kind of the horn shape that I'm looking for here. So I'm going to change the color of this guy so that it's a little bit easier to see. We'll darken that one. Okay, so if we highlight, you can see our intersection right here. This is quite a dramatic set of horns. I'm going to keep calling them horns. I mean feathers. We don't want such a dramatic set of feathers. So that looks a little bit better. I'm actually even going to click and drag my owl's body out a little bit more, the bottom circle, or the bottom ellipse, excuse me, so it looks a little bit more owly. So remember with the Pathfinder, you always need at least two overlapping paths. So I'm just taking my selection tool, which is V on your keyboard. I'm going to click and drag to select both of these. And then I'm going to go here to divide. So what divide will do is it will place a cut, so to speak, on all the parts of the circles that overlap with one another. So now I just need to go in here and I need to, have it selected and right click, go here to ungroup, and then I can separate it into the three pieces. We'll hold on to this one for now, but we don't need that one. So I'm just gonna press delete on that guy. So take my owl body here. It's glitching out just a little bit, but that's okay. I'm gonna use my align tools to center that guy up. These look a little bit like wings to me. So I'm gonna take I'm actually not gonna hold shift because I want to stretch them out just a touch. The only time you hold shift is when you want something to scale evenly. You want it to maintain its aspect ratio. If you don't want to do that, obviously you just don't hold shift, and then you can freely transform from any anchor point, and you can go crazy with it. So the cool part about holding shift is it has a lot of good features for Illustrator. So if I hold shift while I rotate, it's going to snap this wing, which is a little bit long. So I'm going to shrink that down just a bit. Snap this wing to 45-degree angles when I rotate. So now I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard, click and drag. that guy over. And then I'm going to right click on this wing. You can see the bounding box around the outside. We're going to go to transform. And you have lots of transform options in here. We're going to reflect that and just leave it at vertical 90. This is how you get it to flip on that one axis, right? Vertical 90 degrees. Let's click OK. Scoot that guy over. Just get it as close as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to select my whole thing. This is something I want to keep the same aspect ratio. So I'm going to hold Shift, scale this guy down, and then we're going to center it. Oops. So, see, that's what happens because I forgot to group my wings together. So I'm going to select both of these by holding Shift. So you can see I'm holding Shift down here. Clicking on both will select both of these, but not the body. Right click, you can group, or hold Shift to select both. You can press Control G on your keyboard, and that will group these wings together. So Control Z to put those back, and then highlight all of these, and then center those up. Actually, we'll do this one first, and then these guys. So it's a little too high still. It's not a perfect science trying to get these exactly right, but that's okay. So next, I'll show you how to quickly make a triangle. You want to take your polygon tool, which doesn't have a keystroke, but you click and hold on the shape tool to get the polygon, and then just click. Don't click and drag. Just click inside the screen. You'll get this option right here. You want to change the sides from 6 to 3. When you press OK, you'll get a nice triangle. Let me change that color real quick. So we want to make this sort of beak shape here. Let's see, how can we do that? So I'm going to hold Alt to get a copy of my triangle here. Double click on the fill color to change that to a little bit darker blue, so it's easier to tell what I'm doing. Then I'm going to take this bottom one here, hold Shift and rotate it around, and then get these into kind of a beak shape of some sort. And then I'm going to scale this triangle down a little bit and then keep it in front of the dark triangles in front of the light triangle. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to use the Unite feature. So remember, Pathfinder also only takes the rules or the settings of your topmost shape, the one that's the most in front. So if I highlight both of these with my selection tool and I unite them, they'll all turn the top shade of blue into this cool beak shape. So then we'll put the beak on here to some extent. That's the center. You can tell by the smart guides. That looks pretty good. So then we'll click and hold on here to get the ellipse tool. I want to make kind of a happier eye for my owl. So I'm gonna double click on this first to make it a little bit more periwinkle-ish, so it's easier to tell the difference between the two. And then what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take this. Remember, it takes the properties of the frontmost shape. I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go minus front, so I get this kind of happy owl eye shape. So then I'm gonna hold Alt to duplicate that, like this. And then I'm going to take another ellipse, just set to full black, which is in the corner. And then we'll click, you can click and drag the stroke over to the fill, and it'll automatically put that in there. So I'm going to draw out like see if I bring this guy to the front, it gives it kind of that quite cartoonish eyelid shape, kind of like Mr. Krabs a little bit. So if we do something like this, I don't want to actually have those be in front though, so I want to delete that guy. I want to right click on this and go arrange, and we want to bring that to the front because Pathfinder always takes the front property. We're going to highlight both of these. I'm actually going to delete this guy. So highlight both of these, and then I'm going to use divide on my Pathfinder. Remember, anytime you use the Pathfinder, you have to ungroup. So anywhere there was an intersection, we have a new piece. So we're going to right click, have everything selected with our selection tool. Right click, go to ungroup, and then I'm going to drag this bottom part off, delete that, and then I'm going to alt drag out this shape so we have two of the exact same kind of excited eyes, I suppose. And then I'm going to see these are separate, so I could remove the eye sections, the pupil sections from the actual eyeballs, but I don't want to do that. So what I do want to do is change the eye color from blue to, let's see, what are we working with here? We need some green in this, so I'm going to hold Shift, double click on the fill for my eye layer and change it to kind of a green. That looks good. So we'll highlight both of those with the selection tool, put those eyes on our owl, something like that. And then we need some feet real quick. So I think I'm going to take the star tool, create a star here, and I'm going to click and drag. How can I make an owl foot out of some stars, I wonder? We could do something like this. So if we change this color a little bit, we'll darken, we'll make it limier. All right, so you can see there's a difference between those two. The lime green one is on top. We're going to go through here and we're going to go minus front again. And that left us with a few little pieces that we can just highlight. Oops, remember they're grouped. So right click, ungroup, and then we can highlight just those two pieces and remove them. So this looks a little bit like a foot to me. Let's remove that, excuse me. This looks a little bit like feet. So we're going to set those like this. Kind of bring these feet over, hold shift to scale them down a little bit. And then I'm just going to take my pen tool and make some quick legs. So anytime you want to get rid of this rubber band, right, you hit escape and create another set of legs here. And then I'm going to take my selection tool with my pen path already selected, hold shift, click, and then I'm going to go to my stroke right over here. If it's not up here, it'll be right over here. I'm going to just turn that weight up, make our owl's legs a little bit buffer. Hold shift to select these two paths, right click, go arrange, and send those guys to the back to give it that illusion of something like that. So that's pretty quick basics on how to use the Pathfinder tools for this assignment. First, you want to create the owl, and then after that, you'll want to create the friend. Yeah, I'll be continuing to add videos as the week progresses, but this is a great start for today. It doesn't have to be perfect. Right now, this is obviously I put together pretty quickly. So don't worry about perfection, right? Done is better than perfect, and process over product. So I'll see you guys when I'm back in the classroom. Hope you guys have a good day. Take care.